Now, a Discovery Times Campaign Minute.
Take Harry Truman, FDR's vice president. Nobody thought he could win the White House in 1948, but he did. And Richard Nixon? He lost in 1960, then told the press they wouldn't have him to kick around anymore after he lost a governor's race in 62. 6 years later, he was back to win. John Tyler was second banana in Tippecanoe and Tyler 2. He took over when President Harrison died a month into his term, only to be dubbed his accidency. Teddy Roosevelt was on the bottom of the ticket for William McKinley's second term and was sworn in as our youngest president at 39 when McKinley was assassinated just 6 months after his inauguration. And Rutherford B. Hayes? He went to bed his election night sure he'd lost. Then a deal in the House of Representatives sealed his place in history. The moral? Accidents happen, even in politics.
Now, a Discovery Times Campaign Minute.
There's more than one way to get to the White House. There are plenty of generals and lots of lawyers, but Woodrow Wilson, a college professor, was president of Princeton University before he was president of the United States. Harry Truman was a haberdasher, a big word for a little shopkeeper, so he always remembered where the buck stopped. And Jimmy Carter? He was running his family's peanut farm before he was running the country. The man who replaced him in the White House, Ronald Reagan, got his start calling baseball games. And Warren G. Harding published a newspaper in his Ohio hometown before he made any news as president. Teddy Roosevelt, the bull moose himself, was a rancher in South Dakota before running up San Juan Hill and then running for election. But the surest way to the Oval Office? The White House tour.
Now, a Discovery Times Campaign Minute.
There was Watergate, a third-rate burglary of the Democratic Party headquarters. It took down the Nixon administration when they found the smoking gun. And Iran-Contra, an attempt to sell weapons to Iran and give the money to Nicaraguan rebels, brought us Oliver North. President Clinton, after debating what the meaning of is, was impeached for lying about whether or not he had sexual relations with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. But scandal's not just for the White House. In the 20s, the Teapot Dome scandal revolved around the Secretary of the Interior, who secretly leased the nation's naval petroleum reserves to private companies. And then there was Wilbur Mills, the powerful chair of Ways and Means, who was pulled over for speeding, and a stripper, Fannie Fox, leapt from his limo and into Washington's tidal basin. For scandals in Washington, that's another drop in the bucket.
Now, a Discovery Times Campaign Minute.
The recipe for the perfect slogan? Start with a name, like I Like Ike or Tippecanoe and Tyler 2. That's President Harrison to you and me. Throw in a promise, like Reagan's Let's Make America Great Again, or James Polk's 54-40 or Fight. He won on a pledge to expand deep into Canada or go to war, but did neither. Now add a dash of attitude. As in Barry Goldwater's Underdog Challenge, in your heart, you know he's right. Or FDR's better a third-termer than a third-rater. Some are remembered long after they backfire, like Herbert Hoover's A Chicken in Every Pot and a Car in Every Garage. And some make no sense at all. How was Bill Clinton building a bridge to the 21st century? Didn't matter. He was reelected just the same. The winning slogan for 2004? We'll have to wait to see what gets cooked up.
Now, a Discovery Times Campaign Minute.
Things can get funny in Washington, and not just budget numbers. John Kennedy said, mothers all want their sons to grow up to be president, but they don't want them to become politicians in the process. Why the bad rap? Henry Kissinger took a poll. 90% of the politicians give the other 10% a bad reputation. Ronald Reagan disagreed. Sort of. Politics is not a bad profession. If you succeed, there are many rewards. If you disgrace yourself, you can always write a book. Is it all the politician's fault? Maybe not. Adlai Stevenson. They pick a president, and then for 4 years, they pick on him. LBJ agreed. If I walked on water across the Potomac River, the headline would read, "President Can't Swim." Honest Abe Lincoln decided you cannot fool all of the people all the time. But Gerald Ford will tell you, if Lincoln were alive today, he'd roll over in his grave.
Now, a Discovery Times Campaign Minute.
Talk about name ID. Truman got the nickname Give 'em Hell Harry during the campaign of 1948. And President Tyler was called his accidency because no one had ever before seen a vice president take over for his boss. William Henry Harrison, the man he replaced, was old Tippecanoe after a battle he won. More generals? Andrew Jackson was Old Hickory from his tough-as-nails leadership in the War of 1812. And Old Rough and Ready is what they called President Zachary Taylor, a hero in the Second Seminole War. But Eisenhower was just called Ike. There are other ways to get a nickname. Reagan took the Gipper from a role in a movie, while Coolidge got Silent Cal for not saying too much. Our current president dubbed his father 41 and even calls himself W. But when it comes to nicknames, most presidents have been on the receiving end.